Hi there, I'm Dylan Tanner and this is the 5th episode of Movement for Mind and Meaning. Today I'm going to talk about creating your own personal mental health toolkit for when the bad mental health days or times come along. For me personally, this has been an absolute game changer. A simple, small, low barrier list of things you can do that could pull you out of your funk, even if it's just for a little bit. For where I am in my mental health journey right now, this is my list. Go for a drive and or a walk. Go to the gym, have a hot bath. That's it. I know this short list works for me through lots of practice and success. And I know I'm going to be able to do something on that list. And each of these things gives me a different feeling. A different state to feeling the weight in my chest, stuck in bed scrolling all day. That inevitably makes you feel worse and worse. Don't get me wrong, I don't always win. Sometimes I can't sit out of bed all day. Sometimes my wife literally has to dress me to go and coach my clients, and that's all I can do for the day. The good news there is, after an hour or so with those headers, I feel a lot better. If you're listening to this, it's probably a safe bet that you have your own bad mental health days. And with that, we can assume that more will be coming. I don't think it's being negative to say this. This is just the reality of mental health, and this was actually a big turning point in my own journey, where I realised and accepted that this was a long-term situation that I needed to work with, rather than thinking or hoping that I was going to wake up one day feeling great and never have to worry about feeling depressed again. Like the binary model we were talking about in episode 4. It's a journey and a process, and we need to be as best prepared as we possibly can be at all times. We need to be vigilant and take our mental health seriously if we want to win more days than we lose as we try for something better. We want to create our toolkit and have it in place so it's there for you when you forget everything else, when you're on a bad day and can't think of doing anything or even imagine moving at all. We know if we stay there it can develop and get worse and worse, so we've really got to fight and put things in place and be ready. The list for you could be the same or similar as mine, or it could be completely different. It needs to be personal to you and what you believe will work for you. Then through creating it and testing it on your bad days, you'll find out if that list is working for you and what on the list works best and what to prioritise. You could have a walk in there, a workout, listening to music gets you moving. It could be texting a safe, non-judgmental friend. It could be writing out a couple of goals or some things you want to do like visiting a new park or a zoo. Something to look forward to. It doesn't have to be fancy, it just needs to be yours. If you look at my list, it's incredibly basic, but it works for me. There's a few things I think a lot of people can get wrong when it comes to mental health on the bad days. Here's a few of the biggest misunderstandings about the bad days of mental health. 1. They're not just about feeling sad. Many assume a bad day means you're simply down or gloomy, when in reality it can be exhaustion, irritability, numbness, overwhelm, or even physical heaviness, physical exhaustion. It's not just one tone of sadness. It's often a mix of emotions and sensations that are hard to put into words. 2. They're not fixed by quick positivity. People often think encouragement, just think positive, just go for a walk, or cheer up, should do the trick. While small actions can sometimes help, bad mental health days can feel completely unmanageable sometimes. It's not about willpower or attitude. 3. They don't always make sense. People around you might expect a clear-cut reason, thinking that something must have triggered it. But many bad days don't have an obvious cause or reason. They can arise from underlying conditions, brain chemistry, or simply accumulated stress. 4. They can look invisible from the outside. Someone can be smiling, working, and functioning while internally feeling like they're drowning. Outsiders might misinterpret this as, you're feeling fine, or like there's nothing wrong at all, not realising how much effort it takes to make it appear that way. 5. They're not a sign of weakness or failure. Many misunderstand them as setbacks or flaws in character. In reality, they're often part of recovery, resilience, and simply being human. Healing isn't linear. Bad days don't erase your progress. 6. They can't always be pushed through. Sometimes rest, withdrawal, or slowing down is the healthiest response for you. People often misunderstand this as laziness or giving up, when actually it's self-preservation. 7. They don't define the whole person. A bad day doesn't mean someone is broken or incapable. It's just one chapter in the bigger picture of who they are. The truth is, most misunderstandings come from the fact that mental health bad days are invisible, random, and deeply personal. So people try to fit them into neat boxes that don't really exist. Now we've covered some of the biggest misunderstandings about mental health days, let's move on to why a mental health toolkit is so important for us. I'm going to share a personal story here, which is when I personally realised I needed to prepare myself for the bad days. On a bigger scale, I used to go through cycles of feeling like I've never felt this bad before, and this is the worst I've ever felt, etc. And I had a set of thought processes that went along with that Then one day my therapist told me that they'd heard this from me a few times before in our time working together. I shared that with a friend and they said the same thing to me. So for me, on that feedback, realising I was in a pattern and that it wasn't new and that it was something that was ongoing for me, I realised that I need to put things in place to work with it rather than waiting for it to pass, and that it was a recurring pattern that would keep repeating. So I needed something in place to try and counter it as best as I could. On a smaller scale, I'd gone through so many identical days over weeks, months and sometimes years that I just knew I didn't want to keep going like that, or I wasn't going to be here much longer if I did. So I started making small daily movements I could string together and start to try working towards something more than what those days had been giving me. Having those tools in place is respecting ourselves enough to make sure we're ready when those times do come. And I understand to some, preparing for bad days could feel like admitting defeat, because you're admitting there's something going on you're not always in full control of, and it's not something that just goes away one day and stays away. I get it, I've been there. But this is the opposite of defeat. I honestly believe being proactive regarding your mental health and preparing in this way is one of the biggest victories you'll ever achieve on your healing journey. It's acknowledging you're human. Everyone has rough days, whether it's because of mental health, stress, or just life being unpredictable. What usually happens on those days? We either do nothing, or we fall back on unhealthy coping mechanisms, scrolling endlessly, skipping meals, isolating ourselves, turning to things that feel good short term but make things worse long term. Having a plan doesn't mean you're giving in to the bad day. It means you're building yourself a safety net so that when it comes, you don't fall as far. Think of it like carrying an umbrella. Bringing one doesn't mean you want it to rain, it just means you'd be better prepared if it does. And besides, prepping actually puts you in control. Instead of being blindsided, you're saying, I know these days happen sometimes, but I've got tools ready so they don't knock me out completely. This is fortitude and resilience, and it's something to be proud of, not ashamed of. Now I know you have some ideas for your toolkit already, but before you start putting it together, you need to know what you're actually preparing for, and that means understanding your own triggers and warning signs. For some people, it's work deadlines. For others, it's certain types of social situations, financial worries, relationship issues, or even lack of sleep. And then looking at how these things could be presented in your day-to-day. Warning signs that show your mental health might be dipping. Maybe you notice you're snapping at people more. Maybe you lose interest in things you usually enjoy. Maybe you get restless, can't focus, or your sleep gets messed up. I definitely suggest journaling with this. Just write down how you feel each day, what happened, and what you noticed in your body and mind, and you'll start to identify patterns. And once you know them, you can design your toolkit so it's really personal to you and your mental health triggers. A balanced mental health toolkit isn't just about bubble bath and chocolate. Although, let's be real, both of those can have their place. Think about your toolkit in 5 categories. 1. Body. Ways to physically calm your nervous system. 2. Mind. Tools to help you manage your thoughts and emotions. 3. Connection. People or communities you can reach out to. 4. Environment. Ways to make your surroundings feel safer or calmer. 5. Meaning. Reminders of your values, strengths, and reasons to keep going. If you can have at least one tool in each category, you're covering your bases. Okay, let's go category by category and talk about what you could put in your own toolkit. 1. Body tools. These are all about calming your physical state. When your body is tense or agitated, your mind will typically follow. Breathing exercises. Try box breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. So it's called box breathing or square breathing. 2. Movement. Maybe just gentle stretching, yoga, or just walking around your street where you live. Sensory items. A weighted blanket, a favourite candle, a hot water bottle, a soft scarf. Nutrition. Keep easy, nourishing snacks ready. A granola bar, herbal tea, fresh fruit. 2. Mind tools. These are about working with your thoughts and emotions directly. Grounding exercises. The 5-4-3-2-1 method. 5 things you see, 4 things you feel, 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell, 1 thing you taste. Affirmations. Have a list of encouraging statements you believe in. Journaling prompts. What's one small thing I can do today? Or, what would I say to a friend in my situation? Mindfulness apps, Headspace or Calm can be really helpful. 3. Connection tools. When things get hard, isolation makes them harder. Have a safe contact list. 3 to 5 people you can text or call without overthinking it. Support groups. Online communities, peer support forums, group chats that are encouraging. Professional help. Therapist contact details. Crisis helpline numbers. 4. Environmental tools. Our surroundings affect our state of mind more than we realise. Have a comfort corner, a designed space in your home where you can curl up and feel safe. Get your lighting right. Soft lamps, fairy lights, candles, whatever feels cosy to you. Music playlists. Have one for calming down and one for lifting your mood. Nature connection. Photos of calming places or a plan for a quick walk outside. 5. Meaning tools. These help you reconnect your bigger picture when you feel lost. A gratitude list. 3 things you're thankful for, even if it's just my cat or a sunny day. A values reminder. A short list of what matters most to you. A success bank or file. A folder of achievements, kind messages or memories you're proud of. Symbolic items. A piece of jewellery, a charm, or even a pebble from a meaningful place. Now remember, this is your toolkit. If listening to upbeat music makes you more anxious, skip it. If cooking calms you, maybe your toolkit is a go-to comfort recipe. It's all about what works for you personally. Once you know what's going in your toolkit, decide how you're going to store it. Some people make a physical box or bag filled with sensory items, written notes and snacks. Others create a digital folder on their phone with playlists, meditation tracks and contacts. You can even combine them both. A small physical kit for tactile things, plus a digital one for resources you can't hold in your hand. The key? Keep it accessible. You don't want to have to dig through 6 drawers and 3 apps to find it when you're already feeling bad. Here's the last piece. Your toolkit only works if you use it. Don't wait until you're at crisis point. If you notice your warning signs, you're snapping at people, your sleep is off, you feel heavy or numb, reach for your toolkit early. Pick one tool from each category and give it a try. If one doesn't help, move to another. We're not looking to be perfect, we're just looking for a little relief, enough to change our state. And update your toolkit regularly. What worked for you 6 months ago might not work now, and that's fine. So there you have it, your guide to building a mental health toolkit for the bad days. Remember, this isn't about never feeling bad again. It's about having practical, personalised ways to support yourself when you do. You deserve care, especially on the days you don't feel like you do. If you make your own toolkit, I'd love to hear what you put in it. Send me a message on Facebook. My name is Brutus Dillantana on there. And if today's episode was helpful, please share it with a friend. You never know whose bad day it might make a little better. Thanks for listening. Take care of yourself. And I'll see you next time on Movement for Mind and Meaning, a place for people just like you who want to keep trying for something more.